Hello and good morning. So, I'm going to try and teach you how to do multiplayer replication. This is something that I found very minimal instruction on online. Um, and even the instructions that I found just flat out did not work. Um, so, let's get started. Uh, it took me forever to figure this out. I would get one player would do one thing, another player would do another. But let's start out by showing you how to be able to interact with two players at once. Um, Click the little three dots here, change the player to two. This, I have it set up as server and client. Um, that way, you can tell, because sometimes I would have something occur only on the server. Sometimes I'd have stuff that would only occur on the client. And sometimes I'd be on the server and it would do something on the server that wouldn't happen on the server but would on the client. It was just all over the place. It was a hot mess. So this will set up as a client server relation and put that there, put that there. So I'm working on a bit of a survival type game. So to demonstrate, that puts a hole in the ground for both players and spawns that thing right there, which I can pick up, and it disappears for both players. Ignore that. Um, that is, I don't know, some type of artifact from joining the game at the same time. If you do it the normal way, it doesn't have that bug. But I'll demonstrate again. From the server, makes the hole, makes the material, and eats it up. Gun, let's see, fires in the correct direction. I don't have it spawning anything yet. That's I would say not intentional, but I just haven't done it yet. It's not a bug. Let's see. Switch over to my other guy. And now to set this up, that's from something else. That's mixing and matching multiple systems. Alright, the dirt resource. I have it set to replicate and replicate movement. Projectile also replicates and replicates movement. These are the blueprints, not the meshes. The explosion effect, because it's on the server, I don't need any of this. That doesn't actually do anything now. Again, that's just me, playing with stuff. But because the object is only spawned on the server, this does not need to be multicast or anything like that. Everything replicates automatically, which everything should replicate automatically, but it just doesn't. But the sphere, the explosion, everything automatically replicates because this is part of the server. And what else was there? Third person character. And yes, I have my button clicking. Some of the button clicking is on the character, some of it's on the controller. Everything's a hot mess right now, but this is just me learning how to do stuff. Okay, so the fire weapon does some line tracing from the camera and the casting to the third person character. You have to tell it the self Otherwise, it will. Let's see, don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. Don't need that. Doesn't need to be multicast. It only needs to be fired on the server, which the effect is spawn the projectile. Because it replicates, it only needs to be done on the server. But this needs to be done before anything, because it determines the trajectory of the spawned item. And it needs to be done from the original character, so it needs to be done before you actually fire the weapon. This should actually be renamed aiming, and this should be fire, weapon fire. So this is the aiming portion from the self, and this fires it, which is just spawning the projectile on the server. So to get replication, so you create a custom event and just name it anything. There's 3 different types of replication. There's multicast. This can only be executed from the server. So if the client does something and you tell it to multicast, if the client does an effect and this is set to replicate to multicast, it will not even happen on the client side. Like, absolutely nothing will happen. If it goes on the server side, if the person acting as the server does it, everybody will see it. All right. The other one, the next one is the server. So if you are the client, this will tell it to run on the server, but not on the client. So if you don't have another one to run on the client that actually executes it doesn't actually see it. I know this is confusing, but I'll show you an example. All right. So has authority basically determines, it should be switch is server. So this is the server. This is for people who are not the server. So this is for the pickaxe. It does the animation. The spawning again is only on the server. So it spawns the item on the server. If you put it in the multicast, you'll get 2. The server will see 1 item and the client will see 2, because the object is set to replicate. So the one that spawns on the server is replicated on the client, and then it multicasts it out to the client, who sees the second one. So we'll have 2, which is bad. So this is only spawned on the server. If you didn't have the object set to replicate, then you could do multicast, but you would get 2 different objects. You'd each see a different object that could be in a different place. So you want the object to replicate and then only spawn it on the server. So back to the multicast. Alright. So if the person running the server uses his pickaxe, it will go to the multicast. Then they'll do the animation and remove the sphere of dirt. I use a special planet that is called a voxel plugin, which allows me to add and remove dirt. It's more than just dirt. Basically any mesh can be done if you use the pro version, which I'm still using the free version. So the pickaxe effect, it'll be if the person on the server does it, everybody will see it. If the person who does it is not the server, it will use this other effect, which spawns it, use the pickaxe effect on the server, and then runs the next one, which is the client, running on the client. If it is the server, goes multicast, everybody sees it. If it's the client, it tells the server this is what it sees, and then tells the client this is what it sees. To get these extra little things right here, you just drag, add pin, and they'll pop up here as well. So I'll demonstrate again. Custom event, replicate on owning client, add pin, custom event 0, which is the name of this function. See, derp, automatically changes this one. See, now these automatically pop up because you spawn the pins here. So this would call this effect. And this would, do whatever action you have here. The other one was firing the projectile. See this, I'm telling you, this is a hot mess. I don't know why it works this way. But the pickaxe effect, I have to split it off into a multicast and a server client. However, the firing the weapon is just on the server. And I don't really know why. So this is the person doing the action, and it determines the firing angle. And oh, I do know why. Because I only need to spawn the project. Now, if I did an animation, I would probably need to do the animation on like this, but just the spawning of the item is only done on the server. Animations, need all three. Special effects, like the removing of the sphere. Let me put that back before I forget. Spawning of the sphere, or spawning the resource, only done on the server. Removing the sphere, like that's a special thing, is only done client server multicast. I tried just doing client server, but if the server is the person doing the action, the client would never see it on a client server, because the person who is the server is also its own client, and this would execute on itself, so it basically happened twice. Yeah, it's crazy. But that covers everything I have learned on replication. I hope this helps someone more than all the other videos combined have helped me. But this is absolutely critical. They're custom events, and you have to have something that calls the custom event. And you can have custom events call next custom events. Like the server custom event calls the client custom event. The multicast custom event does not call another one because it doesn't need to. And once they're done, like this one, calls the multicast, goes through here, does. This is basically a self-contained function. Why they don't use it as a function and have like an ability to just right-click and set replicate, I don't know. Like, this would make so much more sense if this entire thing was an actual function that you could have a setting that says replicate. it just makes so much more sense than having to have a custom event. Because this, all this is a function. This should be a function. But once it's done its thing, it goes on to the next thing. So it doesn't just dead end and stop in here. It goes, after it finishes, goes on to the next one. Yeah, I think that's it. That's how I got it to work. The other critical thing, make sure you replicates and replicates movement for the item. That's it. Hope you enjoyed it.